Well, hello. Thanks for coming back to check out another video. So, we are here today to sit down and talk about my Holy Grail makeup items. I feel like this is a video that has been floating around on YouTube quite some time, and I'm sure everyone has like a little bit of a difference in how they choose to present these Holy Grail items. So for me, when I say these are my Holy Grail items, I'm really talking about like these are the makeup items that are tried and true, have used up multiple times, continue to repurchase and enjoy. And at the end of the day, it's makeup items that make me not want to try new things. Like I'm set, like I'm good. I have found my one and only, my one true love, and I don't want to continue to keep buying and consuming and trying to find a new Holy Grail, because obviously I already have one. So I really wanted to sit down and do this mainly as like a good exercise for me for that reason, because I do feel like I fall into the habit of like, oh, but so-and-so is raving about it, like I must try it. No, I mustn't. I must not always try the newest and latest and greatest when I do have things that I actually really love and enjoy. So, like I said, I just thought this was a good exercise for me, and I thought that I would bring you along for the ride because maybe you just like hearing me rant, ramble, and rave about certain things. So, I have my basket here full of all of my Holy Grails that we will talk about. Now, some of my Holy Grails that I would like to include in this video, I have already finished off for the year and have not yet repurchased. So I will put a picture up of those as we get there. But I think my game plan is that we will just start with how you would like apply these products to your face. Okay, so let's first talk about primer. I can just speed through this because if you've been here long enough, you know that this is Haley's Holy Grail primer. So this is the CoverGirl Outlast All Day Primer. This feels more like a moisturizer, but it is not so heavy that I can't wear this in the summer. I really do appreciate just how it makes my skin feel, and I feel like it does give you like a nice like base to go in and apply foundation and all of those things and really, help to just make your makeup look nicer and wear a little bit longer. So this is my Holy Grail primer. Now I will say I'm still in the market for my Holy Grail like pore filling primer, and then I do in the winter months like a glowy primer, so I'm still in the market for that Holy Grail primer. Now this CoverGirl one, I do like to pull it out in the winter as well in the summer months. I feel like it really holds up well in the heat and the humidity, and then too, like I said, since it is more on the moisturizing side, like I do enjoy it in the winter time, but this is just like a standard kind of like, I don't want to say matte foundation because I don't feel like it really like makes me feel matte or like tight like some of those matte primers can, but it definitely doesn't have like any glowiness to it. So like I said, in the wintertime, I do sometimes like a glowy primer, but at the end of the day, this is my Holy Grail primer, and I don't really want to search out any like perfect everyday primers. All right, so let's talk about foundations. Now, one of them I do not have here with me because I have already finished it off. So that is the NYX Born to Glow foundation. I typically get mine in the light shade. I feel like this is a really good medium coverage foundation that you can build up to full coverage if you want, and it's not going to look cakey. This foundation has a little bit of a glow to it, and so I really do enjoy this one in the drier, colder months. I have worn it in the summertime, but just typically in the summertime, like I'm producing enough oils on my own. I don't need any extra glow, so that's why I tend to go for more matte foundations. But yeah, this NYX Born to Glow is just like my perfect everyday like fall winter foundation, and so I can't wait to have it back into my life. And then the other foundation that is my Holy Grail foundation is also from CoverGirl, from that Outlast line. So this, I just recently finished off like a whole bottle and did run right out and repurchase it because I love it so much. So I get mine in the shade 810 Classic Ivory. I feel like this is also hands down the most perfect shade match I have ever found for myself. If you are someone who stands like in the fair light kind of side of foundations with also neutral undertones and you're struggling to find a foundation, I would say go check this line out. And specifically, like I said, if you're like fair to light like I am with neutral undertones, give 810 Classic Ivory a shot because I do just feel like it is the perfect shade match. So again, much like with the primer, I've already ranted and raved about this so often, but this is my favorite full coverage foundation. It really does just give you that nice blank canvas, but it does not look like cakey or too heavy. Like I never, at the end of the day, even if I've had my makeup on for like 10, 12 hours, I never really feel like this is on my face. You know what I mean? Like sometimes at the end of the day and it's just like I feel my makeup and I just want to get it off. Like I never feel that way with this, and I have paired this with countless powders, countless concealers, countless other primers, and it never looks bad. So again, just my holy grail foundation. If I just have this and the NYX one in my life, like I am a happy girl. Okay, so 2 concealers. Now I am quite proud. These are actually the only 2 concealers that I have in my collection, and I would like to keep it that way. I don't want to try any more new concealers. So this first one, I have already finished off 1 bottle of it this year. This is from Rare Beauty. I think this is called like their Liquid Touch Brightening Concealer. So I get mine in the shade 140C. Now if I hold it up here, this is really light because for my concealers, I typically do go down like a shade or 2 lighter because I want that brightening effect. So with this Rare Beauty one, this is a full coverage concealer, which kind of throws me off because the foundation from this line, like in the same packaging, I feel like that foundation is more of like a light to medium coverage foundation. So you would think that the concealer would match that, you know? But either way, full coverage concealer, but it never looks cakey and it doesn't feel like super thick. You know what I mean? Like I've got the Tarte Shape Tape here too. Now this one is much thicker than this one. But this just wears so nicely, so beautifully. And I do have to say, like, I love also using this on those days where it's like, I need to get out the door quickly. So I'll just spot conceal, blend this out, and then top it off with like a foundation powder. And it works really nicely that way. So I feel like that's a better thing for me to do for those like lighter makeup days, we'll say, rather than like hanging on to a tinted moisturizer or a very light coverage foundation, because I just never feel like those give me the coverage that I want, but I do get that with this. Okay, so then like I said, I do have the Tarte Shape Tape. Now this is the ultra creamy one. They have like the original Shape Tape, which I do still really like. Like I have finished off countless tubes of that as well. But I wanted to try out this creamy one, and I have to say, I do enjoy the creamy one a little bit better. I feel like sometimes the Shape Tape, the original one, could look a little cakey depending on like what powders and foundations you've paired it with, but I have not found that to be the case with this creamy one. So mine is in the shade 12 in Fair Neutral. Again, much like with the Rare Beauty one, I do get this like a shade or 2 lighter than what I would buy my foundation in. So I feel like this is a nice version of like that the original Shape Tape. Like this does feel a little bit more hydrating, but I wouldn't classify this as like a hydrating concealer by any means. This is very thick. This is very full coverage. Actually, with both of these concealers, even the Rare Beauty one, if you are someone who likes a lighter coverage foundation, I wouldn't recommend either one of these to you because they're gonna like, you're gonna see that line of demarcation. You know what I mean? Because it's so full coverage compared to like your base makeup. And then at the end of the day, like just as you go on about your day, like I feel like it's just gonna get really heavy on your skin. But either way, at the end of the day, these are my 2 holy grail concealers, and I will just continue to have these 2 in my life and continuously repurchase them as I finish them off. All right, let's talk about some powders. So I have said in the past, I think it was like at the beginning of this year, like I need to figure out if I'm a loose powder girl or a pressed powder girl. And I have to say, I think I'm both. So I really like to use a pressed powder on my T-zone and to set down my concealer. I just feel like it does a better job. So the pressed powder that I just absolutely love, don't want any other pressed powders in my life, is the Sephora Matte Foundation Powder. I know it's a foundation powder, but hear me out. It works beautifully as a setting powder. It also works really well as a foundation powder, but this never looks like cakey or anything like that. I get mine in the shade 08, which is Fair Neutral. I don't know if you can tell in there, but we have a good bit of pan. I am almost finished with this, and I did pick up another one of these during the Sephora VIB sale, so I'm quite happy about that. But yeah, like I said, this just never looks cakey. It never feels weird. It never makes my under eyes feel dry. I feel like sometimes with loose powders and pressed powders, they can kind of like just make your skin feel dry, and then it's like, well, now I want like a hydrating setting spray to kind of give myself some life back. But I just never find that to be the case with this. So all of those pros I can also say for this loose powder. So this is from Beauty Bakery. This is their Flower Setting Powder. This does come in a few different shades. I get mine in the shade Oat, which is the translucent shade. But I think there's like a yellowy one, and then I think there's 2 darker loose powders in this line. I think that's all that comes with it. So this is so beautiful. This just like sets down my face effortlessly. Now, a loose powder I will use on the perimeter of my face. Again, I have combination skin. It is a little bit more dry now as we're in like the colder months, but I still set down my face because I feel like then I can successfully apply my blush, bronzer, and highlighter and have them blend out a little bit better than if I didn't use a loose powder. And then, like I said, it just really helps to melt everything together. I just love how soft this is. Like, it's a very finely milled loose powder, so it doesn't ever like clump up on you, you know? And yeah, I just absolutely love the way that this wears. Again, I don't really notice any like breaking down of my base makeup, even though I may have had my makeup on for like 12 hours. And I really do attest that too. I have found my perfect like base products that all play so nicely together. All right, so let's talk about my cream bronzer that is my holy grail. Now, I have ventured out and I tried the ABH cream bronzer, and I did not like that. Their lightest shade, which was Sunkissed, was supposed to be, in my understanding, a more like neutral cream bronzer, but it was super warm tone. And then I do also have the one from Fenty Beauty, their cream bronzer in the shade Butter Biscuit, and I love that name. I do like that as a cream bronzer, and that is definitely more of a cool tone cream bronzer than the one from Milk Makeup, which we'll get to. But the Fenty Beauty one is like really stiff, so I can't use like a blending sponge to blend it out and apply it to my face. I have to use a brush, and even with using a brush, like I feel like it's just really hard to get it blended out quite the way I want. So I'm tired of trying new cream bronzers. Like, I've loved the Milk Makeup one for forever and a day, and I'm just going to continue to keep loving this one and repurchasing it. So, if I'm not mistaken, this only comes in 2 shades, and I do have the shade Baked, which is the lighter of the 2 shades. Now, I do feel like this is a more neutral cream bronzer. This is not like super warm, but when I do compare it to the Fenty Beauty one, this one definitely looks more warm in comparison. So take that information as you will. But I absolutely love that this is a stick, and it's just so easy to draw this on your face where you want your bronzer, and then you can easily blend this out with a brush or with a beauty sponge. I think that it just looks wonderful. It looks effortless. It layers nicely with like other powder bronzers if you want to do that, which is typically how I do wear cream and powders. Like, I will layer them on top of each other. But in the winter time, I feel like I'm more wanting like that cream look in the winter time rather than in the summer. And I feel like a lot of people want their cream products in the summer. But either way, I will sometimes in the winter just do like a full face of cream makeup. Now, I will still set my face with my pressed powder and my loose powder, but these are so pigmented that it does shine through like all of those powders. So yeah, this has been with me for I think 2023 is going to be our 3rd year together, and I am not sure how much more product is in here. There's 30 grams of product in this when it's brand new, and if I'm not mistaken, it retails for around like the $30 price point. So even though it is a little bit more expensive, like I said, I have used this like day in and day out, sometimes super consistently for like 4 solid months, and I'm still not out of it. So I feel like it's a really good bang for your buck. All right, 2 mascaras. Now, it's a little bit funny because they're both still in their packaging because I only open 1 mascara up at a time. So the first one is from Maybelline. This is the Sky High Lash Sensational. I have to really slow down with those words. Volumizing mascara. So I get mine in the shade 800, which is Blackest Black. This came out this year, if I'm not mistaken, and I have been struggling to find a drugstore mascara. I don't mind paying like the higher price point for a high-end mascara if it's something that I really love, but I go through mascara like pretty consistently, you know, and so I feel like I want that drugstore one so that I can have that option and save some money. Like I said, I've tried everything between a bunch of CoverGirl mascaras, some other Maybelline ones, some Essence ones, and they were all just terrible. But not this one. This is so beautiful. This really does a good job of getting in there and really lengthening and volumizing your lashes. I was going to say, it really lengthens and volumizes your mascara. Anyway, it really lengthens and volumizes your lashes. And I have blonde, like little stubby lashes that I feel like you just can't see. But this makes the world of a difference for those. I don't have to use a lash primer with this, which I really appreciate. So yeah, this is just something that is going to continue to live in my collection. And then every once in a while, I think it's fun to treat yourself. So I do really enjoy the Milk Makeup Kush Mascara. I think that this wears beautifully. Again, it does basically everything that the Maybelline one does. It's just this one is at a cheaper price point. But like I said, sometimes there's just something about going into Sephora and it's like, oh yes, I will buy this. I'm bougie today, you know? So either way, I just get mine in the black shade. Now the one difference I will say about these two is the Kush mascara is a very wet formula. So when you get this, I would recommend like opening it up and letting it sit for like a week. Don't even touch it. Don't even look at it. Don't even breathe in its general direction. And then after a week, you can use it, because if you use it right out of the gate, it's just so wet that you're going to get a lot of transfer on your upper like lid space. But once you let it dry out a little bit, like I never have that issue with it transferring. These are two mascaras that I have tried out in like the heat and the humidity of the summer months. And that too is a time of year where I feel like you can get a lot of transfer of your mascara, especially onto like your lower area down here, unless you're using like a waterproof one. But I never find that these migrate at all over my face. Okay, so the last thing to talk about is a setting spray. So this is from Urban Decay. This is the All-Nighter setting spray. I've used up so many countless bottles of this, and I just keep coming back to it. Like I keep trying different setting sprays, and I'm never quite as impressed as I am with this one. The mister on this, I think, is the biggest thing that sets this apart from other setting sprays. It is just such a fine mister. It just feels like little fairy kisses of setting spray on your face. It does not ruin your makeup. It never comes out like a jet stream. If you are struggling and need something that has a really good nozzle, this. But the product inside is also really nice as well. I feel like this does a really good job of taking down all of that powderiness, because like I said, I've went in with a pressed powder and a loose powder. Takes down all of that powderiness, really melts everything into my skin, and I feel like this does stick my makeup to my face. Like I said, there are times where I have worn my makeup like 10, 12 hours, and I come home and yes, it's not looking like the greatest as when you first put it on, but I don't notice near the amount of like breaking down, especially in my T-zone, as I used to before introducing this into my life. So with all of that being said, that rounds out Haley's Holy Grail items. Now, like I said in the introduction, this was just a good exercise for me because I really want to pay more attention to my purchases, especially in the makeup realm. I feel like, at least for me personally, within the past, I've gotten into a very like buy, gotta have the new, and that's not always the case. And I feel like if for me, when I say you, I'm meaning me, okay? So I feel like when I take a step back and really look at the Holy Grail items, like that's gonna help me to not want to be in that headspace of buy, new. So that's not to say, you know, never will I try something new. Tastes change, opinions change. But as we sit here right now, I can tell you like these items that I have in my collection have used up multiple times, have been using them for years, and I really don't think that those things are going to change. So that wraps up this video. Let me know down below if you have any Holy Grail items where you feel the same way. Like, no, I don't need to try the new. I can just use what I have and continue to repurchase it. I thank you guys so much for being here and making it till the end and putting up with my rantings and my ravings. I hope you're having a good day, a good night, or a good whatever, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.